Okay, so welcome to Poetry Sunday, everyone. And today we'll be continuing with the great John Donne. Let's start, though, with a couple of minutes of just sitting quietly and settling into ourselves. Okay. Good. So last time um, we spoke about John Donne's life and times, and we read one of his very greatest poems, The Valediction Forbidding Mourning. That one, by the way, is posted on my YouTube channel, uh, as this will be as well. Um, just two things to recall at the moment from Donne's biography. One is that he was a contemporary of Shakespeare's, so the language for us is a little bit dusty. We do have to. It takes a little bit of translating some of the language, but as with Shakespeare, I think we can all agree that it's worth it. Um, the other that I want to point out is, or recall, remind us, is that Donne attended the equivalent of law school. And he's sometimes criticized. His poetry is sometimes criticized for the fact that he's arguing like a lawyer. He's making his case, whether in his early days he was trying to seduce young ladies, he's trying to seduce them with legalistic logic, and then later on in his life, when he becomes a minister, in fact, the most important preacher in England, the dean of St. Paul's Cathedral, he's trying to, they said, seduce God, win over God to his case with the same kind of legalistic logic. So I wanted to start today with one of his poems from that earlier time, a poem that belongs to a genre known as the seduction song. Okay. Um, okay. Are you all seeing the flea on your screen? And you can, oh, let me enable you to unmute yourselves. Hold on. Okay. So you can all, you don't have to, but you can when you want to jump into the conversation. You can unmute yourselves. Um, Okay, so are you all seeing The Flea on your screen? The Flea by John Donne? Yes. Okay. Um, okay. So I will let me read through this first, and then we'll unpack it. But just to make the dramatic situation clear, um, this is him trying to get a girl in bed. He is trying to seduce her, and you'll see the poem is in three stanzas, and in each stanza, the well, as we go from the first stanza to the second, and then from the second stanza to the third, you can see in between the stanzas something has happened each time. So see if you can get the sense of what happened each time. Okay. Um, Mark but this flea, and mark in this how little that which thou deniest me is. It sucked me first, and now sucks thee. And in this flea our two bloods mingled be. Thou know'st that this cannot be said a sin, nor shame, nor loss of maidenhead. Yet this enjoys before it woo, and pampered swells with one blood made of two. And this, alas, is more than we would do. Oh, stay! 3 lives in one flea spare, where we almost, nay, more than married are. This flea is you and I, and this our marriage bed and marriage temple is. Though parents grudge and you, we are met and cloistered in these living walls of jet. Though use make you apt to kill me, let not to that self-murder added be, and sacrilege, 3 sins in killing 3. Cruel and sudden! Hast thou since purpled thy nail in blood of innocence? Wherein could this flea guilty be, except in that drop which it sucked from thee? Yet thou triumph'st, and say'st that thou find'st not thyself nor me the weaker now. 'Tis true. Then learn how false fears be. Just so much honour, when thou yield'st to me, will waste, as this flea's death took life from thee. Okay? So you get a little, some sense of what's going on here, some sense of how the argument progresses. We'll break it down. But first, we will remove some clothing. I'm, as they say, warming to my topic. Okay, so back to the first stanza. Mark but this flea, right? Just look at this flea here. And mark in this how little which thou deniest me is. Of course, it's clear what it is she denies him. She denies him sex, right? And he's saying it's little. It's just a little thing. It's as small as a flea. It sucked me first, and now sucks thee, right? First it bit me. It sucked my blood. Now it's sucking your blood. And in this flea our two bloods mingled be. Right? In other words, our bodily fluids are already getting mixed up. And in fact, I believe in Donne's time, I'm sure I remember this right, but I think it was believed in that time that during sexual intercourse, the blood of the participants got mingled. In either case, the idea, the fluids are vital, bodily fluids are being mingled. Thou know'st that this cannot be said a sin, nor shame, nor loss of maidenhead, right? So, right, this thing, I get bit by a flea, then you get bit by a flea. That's not a sin. That's not anywhere in the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not be bit by a flea. It's not a shame. nor loss of maidenhead, right? In other words, that has not resulted in your losing your virginity. Yet this enjoys before it woo, right? In other words, this flea gets to enjoy the mingled blood before marriage. It gets to have premarital mingling of fluids. Yet this enjoys before it woo, and pampered swells with one blood made of two. Right, the mingling of our two. And this, alas, is more than we would do. Right? It makes it seem silly that we're not having sex. Right? Now, of course, what's really silly is this whole argument. Right? I mean, it's completely, it's really, really silly. I, I, I suspect that he would not get lucky with this particular seduction song. I don't think this one's going. Some of them would work, but I kind of like looking at how sort of silly this is. How his rhetorical skills, his poetic skills, are so brilliant, but even when they're used in a completely silly cause like this. And in fact, this second to last line of the stanza, this may ring a bell for you. One blood made of two, right? Can you see there's a little echo there of the poem we read last week, The Valediction Forbidding Mourning. That beautiful, beautiful, deep poem where he says, he's talking about how we're, we have not, we're not two souls, we're one soul that's just stretched out like gold being, beat by the goldsmith's hammer. But then he starts the next stanza. If they, meaning our souls, if they be two, they are two so as stiff twin compasses are two, right? And another line he says, our two souls therefore which are one, that paradox. So this idea of two is one, there in the Valediction Forbidding Mourning, it's presented in this beautiful, deep, serious way. And here it's just kind of a joke. But it's the same idea. Oh, stay, 3 lives in 1 flea spare. So what has just happened between the two stanzas?
She killed him.
Well, she's about to kill it. Yeah, she's like getting ready to kill it. And he's trying to stop her. Oh, stay, spare that flea. 3 lives in 1 flea spare, where we almost, nay, more than married are. Now you see how he's subtly pushing the argument. Before he was saying, hey, the flea gets to enjoy the mingled fluids before marriage, right? Before it woo. Now he's saying, we're almost married, nay, we're more than married. This flea is you and I, and this our marriage bed and marriage temple is. Here again, as in the Valediction Forbidding Mourning, the idea of the romantic love, the sexual love, being raised to a religion. Remember, in that one, it was like they were the two priests of that religion. So it's our marriage bed and our marriage temple is, though parents grudge and you, right? Your parents are against it, you're against it. But though parents grudge and you, we are met and cloistered in these living walls of jet. So once again, the idea that we're like priests, we're like monks, we're cloistered. Cloistered is Judy. You know all about that, right? Right. Cloistered. To be cloistered is to live in the convent or in the monastery. So you see the nerve of this guy, right? He's got a lot of chutzpah, right? He's saying, "Yeah, come on, we're like monks." We're like, which is hilarious, of course, because the monks and the nuns are celibate. We're monks, living in the temple together. And the living walls of jet. Jet means black, because that's the flea is black. Though use make you apt to kill me. In other words, you're used to killing me. right? You're you killing me is old news, right? Now, how is that? Of course, he's not literally killing him. Certainly, you could say, "Oh, you're killing me by denying me your your bed." Um, there's another thing that's hinted at that we'd have to be living in Donne's time to really appreciate, which is that there was a slang term in Donne's day, the word die. To die meant to have orgasm, right? And there's a lot of his poetry and other poets of the time where they use that. They'll say something like, let me, kill me so that I may die the gentler way, right? That sort of thing. So I think there's a hinting at that. You're used to you're apt to kill me, right? You're killing me by denying your love, but he's kind of maybe also implying, hey, maybe you can be getting used to killing me in the good way, right? But so, although you're used to that, let not to that self murder added
Your
be.
your voice isn't coming through.
Okay, 1 2 1 2. Are you all hearing me now? Are you hearing me? Raise your hand up if you
You're
are
not
hearing me.
coming in clear.
No? Okay, hang on. Hmm.
We missed about the last 30 seconds. You were cutting out.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Okay, hang on. Do you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think there was a temporary connection problem.
Yeah, it was right when you were getting into the juicy part. You were, it was choppy.
What's the last thing you heard approximately? What's the last bit that you heard?
The die means orgasm.
Oh, die means orgasm. Yeah. Okay. Um, all right. So let not to that self murder added be and sacrilege, 3 sins in killing 3. Okay. So there's the idea: stop, don't kill that flea. If you do that, you're going to be killing me. Okay, you're used to killing me, and if I get lucky, you'll be used to killing me in the good way, providing me with the orgasm. But don't kill yourself. See, the idea is my life and your life and the flea's life are now all mingled in the flea because it sucked both of our blood. So not to that self-murder added be, right? Suicide's a very bad sin. And sacrilege, 3 sins in killing 3. Sacrilege. Wait a minute, a sin against religion. Well, you see what he's hinting at? 3 lives in one. 3 lives in one. Judy, that should also be ringing a bell for you. That's your basic theology of the Holy Trinity. Right? But again, look at the nerve of this
Right.
guy. Look at the chutzpah of this guy that in order to try to confuse this girl enough that she'll or impress her enough or something that she'll go to bed with him, he's now invoking the Holy Trinity. Right? And what a sin it would be, right? The 3 lives in one, like the triune God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. We're like that. The lover, the beloved, and the holy flea. Right? I mean, it's completely ridiculous, but brilliantly done because it's done. Cruel and sudden, hast thou since purpled thy nail in blood of innocence? So what happened now? Now she's killed the flea. Right? Her nail is now purple with the blood of the flea. Right? Blood of innocence. Again, this idea of that killing the flea is like, you've killed God, you've killed Jesus, the innocent blood, the blood of the Lamb. Wherein could this flea guilty be, except in that drop which it sucked from thee. Yet thou triumphst and say that thou find'st not thyself nor me the weaker now. So you see what's happened. She's been listening to his silly arguments in the second stanza where he's saying that's our life there, all mingled together. And so she goes, wait a minute, kills the flea, and she says, no, this didn't take away our life. I don't feel any weaker now. You're not any weaker now. Right? Yet thou triumphst and say that thou find'st not thyself nor me the weaker now. 'Tis true. Then learn how false fears be. Just so much honor when thou yieldst to me will waste as this flea's death took life from thee. So you see, he's trying to get her coming and going. He argues one way, and then she says, no, look, killing the flea doesn't do anything. He says, right. That's the, and that's in the same way that you don't feel diminished. You don't feel that your life energy has gone out of you. You don't feel that your honor has gone out of you. That's in the same way. None of that is going to go out of you when you go to bed with me. Right. I was completely silly. I think it was his most popular poem in his lifetime, which just kind of goes to show, it's like these rock bands, rock musicians that, they wind up doing very interesting stuff, but everyone just always wants to hear you play, Purple Haze over and over. So let's go on to something more serious and great. It's like someone has put marks on there.
Where?
Okay. Oh, good. I got rid of them. All right. Wait, looks like we've just had an old friend join us. There he is, Freeman Brown. Hey, so good to see you, my friend.
Hey, Sue.
Hey. Tova, are you there? It's Sub. Oh, I don't know if you know Sub. Sub is West Coast Dzogchen. Tova is East Coast Dzogchen. Okay, anyway, Sub, you are just in time for the sun rising. So your
outstanding.
Your timing is perfect. Okay, so unlike that silly Flea poem we just read, this thing is sublime. And this, I'll just tell you a little about the dramatic situation here. This belongs to a genre known as the obade. It's spelled A-U-B-A-D-E. A-U-B-A-D-E. Obade, which means a morning song. Morning song. So this is.
Morning.
I'm sorry.
Daytime or
yeah, daytime, but it's the sun rising. So the last poem was trying to get the girl in bed. This is the poem you write if you've succeeded in getting the girl in bed, and what happens the next morning. This is what you say to her the next morning. All right. But he starts off not talking to her. He starts off talking to the sun, because the sun is the alarm clock here, waking them up. And I should mention, Donne was famous for his very abrupt, almost kind of coarse opening lines, which no one else had done before. He's got one, because so much in the Elizabethan age, so much of the emphasis was on writing, honeyed sonnets. Everything was supposed to be very smooth and sweet and mellifluous. But he had one poem. He has one poem that starts, "For God's sake, hold your tongue and let me love." Right. So it's like bam, and then. So this one also has another one of these kind of almost rude opening lines. He's talking to the sun, and he's scolding the sun for being the alarm clock, for making him and his lover get up. So we'll read through and then we'll go back and unpack it. Let me just say, busy here means as in busybody, right? Busybody. Busy old fool, unruly sun, why dost thou thus through windows and through curtains call on us? Must to thy motions lovers' seasons run? Saucy pedantic wretch, go chide late schoolboys and sour prentices. Go tell court huntsmen that the king will ride. Call country aunts to harvest offices. Love, all alike, no season knows, nor clime, nor hours, days, months, which are the rags of time. Thy beam so reverend and strong, why shouldst thou think I could eclipse and cloud them with a wink, but that I would not lose her sight so long? If her eyes have not blinded thine, look, and tomorrow late tell me whether both the Indias of spice and mine be where thou left'st them, or lie here with me. Ask for those kings whom thou saw'st yesterday, and thou shalt hear all here in one bed lay. She's all states, and all princes I, nothing else is. Princes do but play us. Compared to this, all honors mimic, all wealth alchemy. Thou, son, art half as happy as we in that the world's contracted thus. Thine age asks ease, and since thy duties be to warm the world, that's done in warming us. Shine here to us, and thou art everywhere. This bed thy center is, these walls thy sphere. Okay? Oh, that's so good. All right. Let's unpack this and really don't hesitate to jump in with any thoughts or questions. So, and like the last one, notice it's 3 stanzas, which is really, your classic beginning, middle, and end arc. And in each case, there's a shift in the approach from one stanza to the next. So, busy old fool, unruly sun, why dost thou thus through windows and through curtains call on us? Right? It's like, go away, kid. You bother me. I don't wake us up. We've been having this blissful, night of love, and now blissfully snoozing together here with my honey. Don't tell me I got to go back, wake up, and go back to that world out there. Must to thy motions lovers' seasons run? Aha. So there, now he takes the argument a step further, a step deeper. Right? Seems like love should somehow immunize us against all the vicissitudes of time. Right? Must to thy motions lover seasons run? That doesn't seem right. And that is, of course, very much of a piece with the valediction forbidding mourning, which we read last time, where we saw that this our kind of love is not sublunary, it's not under the moon, it's celestial, it's beyond time, beyond space. Must to thy motions lovers' seasons run, saucy pedantic wretch? This is the thing. This is what you call your professors in college when they bother you, right? Saucy pedantic is like a pedantic wretch is like a stuffy old professor. Go chide late schoolboys and sour apprentices. So these are the other people that need to be woken up in the morning, right? Schoolboys rushing off to work, and apprentices, which in those days apprentices were usually young boys starting at the age of 12 or even 10, who are they were all proverbially slow at, no one is running to get to work or get to school. So he's saying, go shoo them along, leave us alone. Go tell court huntsmen that the king will ride. Now, there's a little bit of a joke in there. Um, that Donne, like Shakespeare, began his career in the age of Elizabeth I was still on the throne, but then right in the middle of his career, Elizabeth died, and James the First. He was James the Sixth of Scotland. They brought him down to England, made him James the First of England, and he became the king. Now, hunting was one of the sports that the king was expected to participate in, showing his manliness and so forth. James the First was not manly. This guy could barely stand up. He would always walk kind of, he suffered from some kind of medical condition where he needed people to help him walk, and his eyes were bulging out of his head and rolling, and he slobbered when he ate. This guy was just, when you see the noble looking paintings of him, they're very kind. And so when he went hunting, his court huntsman they'd have to have some riding along with him and some riding ahead who would herd a deer or a rabbit or something into a corner where no one could possibly miss it. And help the king line up his shot and then get it. Great shot, Your Majesty. So go tell the court huntsman that the king will ride. And that's when they all have to, the king wants to go hunt. Everyone's got to hustle and get the horses together and round up the rabbits, get the rabbits ready to be killed. Call country ants to harvest offices. Okay, offices here means functions. And as far as I know, country ants just means ants as we mean it. There might be something else there, but it's like, come on, even bring the ants to help in their part of the harvest, gobble up the crumbs from the harvest, right? So that's all the other people that you can go bother, that you can call on, Mr. Sun. And then we come to the last two lines of the stanza, the closing, the couplet. Let me just say, before we get to the couplet here, so you can appreciate how it works, just for a moment, look at the rhyme scheme. Sun, thus, us, run. Chide, prentices, ride, offices, climb, time. So it's going, what is this? A, B, B, A, B, B, A, C, C. So this is the one place in the stanza where we get just this rhyming couplet is at the very end, and that makes it feel like the clincher. It gives it an extra power through and usually when we're hearing poetry, we don't think about this. This is like when you're watching a movie, you don't think, oh, look what they're doing with the lighting here. Look what they're doing with the I mean, when Yaffa and I watch, because Yaffa's a filmmaker, we're thinking about this stuff. But you're getting the effect of it without thinking it. So we get the effect of this clincher feeling. Love all alike. This is like the punchline. This is something more extra. It's got extra power. Love all alike, no season knows, nor clime. Clime means climate. And specifically, it means different parts of the world with different climates. So you'd have the tropical climes and the Arctic climes and so forth. So here he comes out with it. Love all alike, right? In other words, love doesn't change. Love is constant. Love is constant. That makes it beyond time. It doesn't know any season. And beyond space, it doesn't know any clime. Love does not vary. It doesn't change. It doesn't matter if you're in the tropics or in the Arctic or if you're in the summer or the winter. Love all alike no season knows nor clime, nor hours, days, months, which are the rags of time. Oh, God. That's a line I can barely read without choking up. Here's this thing which is, it's not as silly as the Flea, but it's certainly, it's all kind of fun and clever and kidding. I'm going to order the sun around. Of course I'm not. And don't bother me, kid. And suddenly it's so dead serious. Suddenly you get the passage of time, the inexorability of it, the tragedy of it. Hours, days, months, which are the rags of time, right? It's just like the hours, days, months. They've been hung out to dry, right? They just, this is all of a sudden, you find the one you love. Now I'm going to be with you. Suddenly it's an hour. Suddenly you're umpty-ump years old. And you're, right, how did that happen? But look at the power of love to flip that around, to hang all that out to dry. For time, hours, days, months, it's just like, it's rags. All right, so he tries shooing the sun away, and that doesn't work. Of course it doesn't work, right? It's the sun. So, but, okay, if you're a good lawyer like Donne, that one argument doesn't work, you try another argument. So now instead of trying to shoo the sun away, we're going to respect him. Thy beams so reverend and strong, right? Oh, you're so strong and you're so revered. Thy beams so reverend and strong, why shouldst thou think? Right? Why even bother to think about us? We're beneath your great celestial dignity. Why shouldst thou think I could eclipse and cloud them with a wink? This always makes me think of Rusty Schweikert, was the first astronaut, some of you will remember, to walk in space. And he, by the way, got involved in meditation later. And he talked about the experience of being out in space and looking back at the Earth and seeing the Earth and realizing all the history, the rise of the creation of the oceans and the blah, 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 the plants and the dinosaurs and man, and the rise and fall of the Roman Empire, and then everything that he thought that's important to him, his loved ones, his family, everything, and putting up his thumb and covering it, making it all disappear. Right? So this is a moment like that. Thy beam so reverend and strong, why shouldst thou think I could eclipse and cloud them with a wink? Right? I don't need to shoo you away. I don't need to convince you to go away. I'm in the driver's seat here. I can create an eclipse by closing my eyes, by winking my eyes closed. I can make you go away. Now, here we can see there's the beginning of a pivot. This is the beginning of, now he's starting to go down the road of what's known as solipsism. Solipsism, the idea that I am reality. My experience is reality. Everything else out there is just kind of my dream, my imagining. So I'm in the driver's seat here. If I don't want there to be a sun, I can bring about an eclipse, close my eyes. Right? Little kids do that, right? The little kid wants to disappear. Little kids close their eyes. Now you can't see me. Right? But look what he does with this. I could eclipse and cloud them with a wink, but that I would not lose her sight so long. Right? Oh, there's the rub. If I close my eyes, then I can't see my honey anymore. It's so charming, right? It's so, and then he goes further with that, right? And this is typical of the poetry of his era, which is the outrageous compliment to my lady. If her eyes have not blinded thine, right? So he goes from this idea of he not being able to see her from closing his eyes to eclipse the sun. He takes it farther, right? In other words, her eyes are so brilliant that they can blind the sun. Ha, ha, ha. Good, nice compliment. Okay, just in case that hasn't happened, if her eyes have not blinded thine, look, and tomorrow late tell me. Okay, so what's going to happen between now and late tomorrow? the sun is going to go once around the earth, right? Actually, it's the earth rotating, but this whole thing is from a geocentric, we are the center of the universe point of view. If her eyes have not blinded thine, look, and tomorrow late tell me whether both the Indias of spice and mine be where thou left'st them, or lie here with me. Okay, both the Indias, that refers to the East Indies and the West Indies, right? So the East Indies, so the East Indies are the Indias of spice, right? And you're probably familiar with some of that history where the opening up of the spice routes to the Western European countries was this huge huge event that changed all the politics and changed the economics and so forth. So the spices of the East Indies, that was considered to be one precious treat. Okay, then the West Indies, which means the Americas, right, are the Indias of mine. In other words, that's where the conquistadors went and slaughtered the Aztecs and the Incas and so forth to get the gold and the silver. Right? That's why Argentina is named Argentina. It's from that means the land of silver. So what is he saying here? What's he telling the sun? Okay, look in tomorrow late. In other words, go take an orbit. Of course, he's sneakily still trying to make the sun move on. Look in tomorrow late, tell me whether both the Indias of spice and mine be where thou left'st them, or lie here with me. Right? In other words, hey, I got your East Indies and your West Indies right here. That's my baby. That's my baby. And specifically, I think what he's talking about here, I suspect, is her spicy mouth and her sexual mind. Okay? And that kind of sex joke is it's very common with the poetry of that time. So hey, I got a whole world here. I got a whole microcosm, a whole cosmos here with her. Ask for those kings whom thou sawest yesterday. Right? In other words, do your orbit of the earth, and in the course of doing that, you're gonna look down, see all the kings, all the rulers of all the countries. Ask for those kings whom thou sawest yesterday, and thou shalt hear all here in one bed lay. Right. So now he gets explicit with that. This is it's all right here. I've got the world here. She's all states. And that's a wonderful pun, right? In other words, all states, all nations, all countries, but also, hey, sometimes she's the goddess, sometimes she's the demon goddess, sometimes she's she's what a woman. She's got it all. She does it all. She's all states and all princes I. Right? In other words, I'm the rulers of all the states. Again, I don't need to go any, in a funny way, this just occurred to me. This is a parallel to the famous verse from the Tao Te Ching. Without looking out of your window, you can know the ways of heaven. Without going out of your door, you can know the ways of earth. The farther one travels, the less one knows. George Harrison turned that into a song. Right. So that whole idea, you want to see the world, you want to see everything, stay where you are, especially if you got a sweet lady with you.
Can I just mention?
Yes, please.
He uses the word princes, not kings. So to me, that actually is like youthful there's something different than like, oh, I'm the master of all her states. I actually don't read it that way. I see it as like he's also like the Prince Charming or whatever.
There could be some sense of that. However, in in his day, the word prince was used differently from how it is now. In his day, the word prince meant the monarch, meant the head of state.
But he does say kings in the previous line. So
Yeah, but here he needs first. I think he doesn't want to say kings twice, and and also he needs a two-syllable word to make the meter work. Okay. Um, uh, but in fact, Elizabeth, not only did it refer to the ruling monarch, but it didn't matter what the gender was. So Queen Elizabeth would often refer to herself as a prince. So that's
uh-huh.
that's
Okay.
the context within which we have to look at this.
Right. Okay.
She's now speaking of the rhythm, look what happens here. She's all states and all princes I, nothing else is. Boom. Right? That's the only place in the poem. That's the only line in the poem where he just hits the brakes. It's fantastic. Right? This is what makes it poetry and not prose. This is, not that it rhymes, not that it's a meter, but the using the music of the language to bring out the meaning of it and the feeling of it in a way that you can't do any other way. Right? Nothing else is. That's the definitive statement. That's all she wrote. Boom. Nothing else is. We can stop right there. But he doesn't. Okay. He
But
could.
what does the I mean? I.
Oh, she's all states and all princes I. In other words, she is all states, all nations, and I am all princes. The syntax is inverted.
Oh.
Do you see that, Tova? You see, yeah. It's like great, whatever. Great singer I, right? Meaning I am a great singer. So all princes I. So she's all the nations, and look how lucky that makes me. I'm the ruler of all nations. All those nations with all their riches, all their gold mines and silver mines and spices and this is and that's, it's all mine. Nothing else is. So he's going all the way. This is where he goes all the way with the solipsistic thread. Nothing else exists. This is reality. Princes do but play us. Now that's hilarious, right? He goes all the way with the inversion. He's been using this metaphor for saying, okay, he's playing it being a prince, but he turns around. No, the princes do but play us. They're pretending to be us. We're the real thing. Compared to this, all honors mimic, all wealth alchemy. Right? All honor. In other words, the two things that, especially if like Donne, you were from the gentlemanly or the noble strata of society, the two things you wanted were wealth and honor. Honor meant, you'd get some knighthood or something from the king. But what is he saying? All that, it's all unreal. It's all unreal. It's all Maya. It's all puppet play. The reality is this, is what we are. And of course, I don't have to say a lot to you all about the Dharma teaching here. The idea that the real reality is oneself, and then the so-called external world is just the representation of that. So compared to this, all honors mimic all wealth alchemy. And there's a little joke here that alchemists had been in business since the Middle Ages, but at this point in the Renaissance, people were figuring out that alchemists that their alchemy didn't really work, right? That when they were promising they were going to turn your lead into gold, it was a con game. So compared to the wealth I have here in this bed, all so-called real wealth is just a scam. Thou, son, art half as happy as we, in that the world's contracted thus. Contracted here means the way it's built, the way it's structured. So why is he saying that? Why is he saying that the sun is only half as happy as we? That's right. It only gets to shine on half of the world at a time, right? Because of the way things are contracted, the way they're structured. The sun only gets to see half of the world at a time. I've got the whole world right here. Thou, son, art half as happy as we, in that the world's contracted thus. And now he takes one more final tack in addressing the sun, right? He tried scooting him away, didn't work. He tried flattering him, didn't work. Now he's going to try one more thing. Thine age asks ease, right? Hey, listen, old fella. I know you've been traveling around the earth for so many gamillions of years. Your old bones are getting creaky. Just sit down here. Thine age asks ease, and since thy duties be to warm the world, that's done in warming us. Right? So he's gone from the beginning telling the sun, go away. And of course, what's really happened is he's thrown in the towel. He's gone, okay, the sun is here. I'm going to accept it. Right? But see, he turns around and says, oh, he makes it into something beautiful. He makes it a celebration of this love, which is so deep that it's like the whole world. Since thy duties be to warm the world, that's done in warming us. And do you see the other pun? Do you see the pun in this line? He's punning on his own name here. Right? You shine on me and my honey, you're shining on Donne. That's it. You're done. And then it ends in one final rhyming couplet. Complete reversal from the beginning, where he's trying to shoo away the sun. Shine here to us, and thou art everywhere. This bed thy center is, these walls thy sphere. Okay, now remember last time we talked about the old geocentric model of the universe, where the Earth is in the middle, and then it's surrounded by these spheres, starting with the spheres were these transparent crystalline spheres like shells, so like the rings of an onion, and embedded in the first one is the moon, then the sun, then the different planets, and finally the fixed stars on the outermost one. So you see what he's saying? This bed thy center is. What's the center of the sun sphere? The Earth. The whole Earth, the whole world's here in the bed. And your sphere for orbiting around the Earth is the walls of the room. So we wind up just with this lovely, lovely picture. Okay. And of course, what's happening at this point, at the beginning of the poem, the sun was just starting to peek through the window, through the curtains. Now it's lighting up the whole room. And instead of fighting, and the sun is really a poem about time, love and time, right? We had this business, right? When we first got that here, hours, days, months, which are the rags of time, and when you're in love like this, you want it to last forever. You want to stick around when you find someone that you love like this. And when you feel the time crowding you and pushing you along, you go, no, don't do it. Go away, go away. It doesn't work. But what's the response? What's the skillful response, which he does here, the dharmically skillful response? You just really go deep into that love, find out that love is beyond time, it's beyond space, and then when you're in love so deep it's beyond time, you can welcome time. Say, come on, all right, shine here to us. That's great. Okay, we got 1 minute. I'm going to read it again. We'll put all the pieces together. Busy old fool, unruly sun, why dost thou thus through windows and through curtains call on us? Must to thy motions lovers' seasons run? Saucy pedantic wretch, go chide late schoolboys and sour prentices. Go tell court huntsmen that the king will ride. Call country aunts to harvest offices. Love, all alike, no season knows, nor clime, nor hours, days, months, which are the rags of time. Thy beam so reverend and strong, why shouldst thou think I could eclipse and cloud them with a wink, but that I would not lose her sight so long? If her eyes have not blinded thine, look, and tomorrow late tell me, whether both the Indias of spice and mine be where thou left'st them, or lie here with me. Ask for those kings whom thou sawest yesterday, and thou shalt hear all here in one bed lay. She's all states, and all princes I, nothing else is. Princes do but play us. Compared to this, all honors mimic, all wealth alchemy. Thou, son, art half as happy as we, in that the world's contracted thus. Thine age asks ease, and since thy duties be to warm the world, that's done in warming us. Shine here to us, and thou art everywhere. This bed thy center is, these walls thy sphere. Okay? That's about as good as it gets.
That's lovely.
Okay?
Thank you.
You bet.
Hey, Dean.
Yes, please.
I was thinking also that the solipsism that winds its way through the poem is strangely reminiscent of the mind only, the Chittamatra school of Buddhism.
Right.
Where in this most radical form, even they'll say that when you open your eyes, you actually create the world in that moment.
Right. Right. Yep. There it is. There it is. Yep. That's the stuff. That's the stuff. Any other thoughts before we close? Okay.
It was good.
Good. So as always, thanks so much.
It finally made sense.
It finally made sense. Yeah. It's as I was saying, it's worth it to spend a little time getting used to how this Elizabethan language works, because then it opens up this whole world to us.
Dean, I have a question for you.
Yes, please.
Dean, I'm sorry. I was thinking with the mention of alchemy, I think there may have been a couple of different approaches to the alchemical venture. One was the transformation of base into gold, base elements into gold.
Right.
But wasn't there also a more occult meaning in terms of transformation of one's soul, of one's being, as an alchemical project? And also the philosopher's stone, does that tie in there somehow?
Yeah, the philosopher's stone, I believe that was like the magic mojo that you needed to turn the base metals into gold.
Okay.
I think. And yeah, there is this whole theme of inner alchemy where they took the usual way, the exoteric alchemy, the way it was understood by the general public, they took that to be essentially a metaphor for what was really an inner process.
Yes.
They say, yeah, of course you can't really physically turn lead or other base metals into gold. That's not what it's about. It's about transmuting our consciousness. Transmuting our consciousness, which just looks around at all this stuff and says, this is all just stuff. and instead transforming it, transmuting it into where it's all, wait, this is all God. This is all Brahman. This is all the finite is the end. All this is nothing but that. All form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. All these forms that just seem, just one damn thing after another turns out to be, no, just look at any one thing and it's, oh, wow. Right? Oh, right?
Oh, Lordy,
Oh, Lordy. Whoa, it's the coffee cup in my hand, and then whoa, it's my hand, right?
Do the name Ruby Begonia mean anything to you?
Right. Yep. All that. It's all that. So yeah.
So in the poem, it's the couple that becomes the thing. What is the transcendence in this poem? What is the spiritual?
It's the transcendence of time. I would say primarily, it's the transcendence of time. It's the epiphany. It's the perception that love is stronger than time. Love is a realer reality, is a bigger reality than time is. And thus time, thus love, love is what saves us from the vicissitudes of time, change. The standard formula in Buddhist writing: birth, old age, disease, and death. By putting that all in one rhythmic line, it's like, kaboom, 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 you're dead, right? Gee, I was just born at the beginning of this line. We get to the end of this line, I'm dying already. That inexorability of time and the fact that we're all in the grip of the second law of thermodynamics, which says that everything runs down, everything the Buddha stated or restated the second law of thermodynamics. It was the second to last thing he said before he died. He said, all compounded things fall apart. Right? Well, what are compounded things? Is this shirt compounded? Yeah, in other words, it's put together. It's compounded out of different elements. So, okay, this shirt's, and we know it's my favorite shirt today. It's a dust rag tomorrow, and it's dust the day after tomorrow. Same with this body. The same with our beloved institutions. When I was a little kid taking civics classes, learning about American democracy, I just assumed that was eternal. Well, looking these days like that might not be the case. Damn it. But that's, if it doesn't happen in this century, it'll happen in another century because it's a compounded thing. All compounded things pass away. That's our bodies, our families, all this stuff that we invest with our value. So how can we be saved from that just universal cataclysm of everything falling apart? In other words, what is not compounded? We can put it that way. What is not compounded? What's not made out of constituent elements? And one way to answer that is awareness, right? And from the so-called scientific point of view, oh no, awareness is a constituent thing. It's the final end result of you evolve these carbon-based forms, and then and a nervous system, and the very last byproduct of that is consciousness. But actually, Sue was just talking about the mind-only theory, which is essentially, to kind of simplify, the view of all the various spiritual teachings. In the beginning is the spirit. In other words, in the beginning is consciousness, and everything else is happening within consciousness. So we can say beingness, we can say consciousness, we can say God, if you like that word, we can say love. And again, just like with consciousness, oh, but love is just a feeling, it's just an emotion, it's just a byproduct of well, that's this very superficial level of love. You know, the deep level of what love is I like Rupert Spira's language for this, where he says, love is not a feeling, love is non-separateness. Love is non-separateness. You know, it's that level of reality where there's not two things. It's not, oh, here's me and here's you, and I love you, you love me. Right? That's just our approach to it. And that if we really get deep into it, we realize that there's just one thing. It's not two. It's Advaita, not two. It's ultimate intimacy, the intimacy that is so intimate that the distance between the two things is zero, because they're not two things. And what's discovered is they never were. And if you're lucky, if things go well, you know, you're sitting in your meditation and kind of everything melts away and you're experiencing not two-ness. There's no diversity of stuff going on. There's just that of beingness, of awareness. And then if you're really lucky, when you come out of your meditation and you look into the eyes of your beloved and you feel that you experience the same, it's just this beingness looking at itself through our two sets of eyeballs. You know, and it's really fun to do that with another human being, but you can also do it with a coffee cup. You can do it with anything. You find that all this apparent diversity is non-diverse. It's just this. It's the one thing, and that's real love. And this is, by the way, I heard this song. Yaf and I were down by the ocean today, and someone went past us on a bicycle and was playing a favorite song of mine, "Love Is All Around" by the Trogs. Okay. Okay. And if you I feel it in my fingers, I feel it in my toes. Well, love is all around me, and so the feeling grows. If you don't know the song, check it out, okay? Because it's all great. Every line of that song is scripture. Okay? When you put your hand, and I actually did a riff on that song. It's in one of my books. It's the Fearless or the one before it, Natural Meditation, I forget. But I give that as an exercise where you feel the cup, and you this is Sub, you'll recognize this. It's a total Rupert exercise, you know, where you feel the cup in your hand, but you close your eyes and you realize, okay, what am I actually experiencing? You know, we have this whole story of there's a hand and there's a cup, and you can all do this right now. Just put your hand on something, anything. All right. Is it okay? We're running over a few minutes here. Okay.
Yeah.
Because this is good stuff. So you've got your hand on something. You close your eyes. And of course, we have these residual mental visual images of, a hand and a cup. But what are you actually experiencing right now? There's some sensation. That's it. There's some sensation, right? We're not experiencing, our actual experience right now in the moment is not hand, it's not cup, it's this sensation. Now, meanwhile, see, ideally we would do this after we've been doing meditation. So we've been sunk into, here's boundless awareness. Here's boundless self. Here's this I that has no boundaries. and it has no color, no size, no texture, no nothing, right? Just awareness. And you can note that right now. You're all advanced meditators. You don't have to do a bunch of meditation. Just know, oh yeah, here's the self. Here's this thing I sink into every time I meditate. Here's this awareness. Boundless doesn't mean great, big, big, big. It just means no edge to it. No nothing to it. Just awareness. Okay? So there's awareness, which is non-dual. It's just one. It's non-everything. It's just awareness. And then, meanwhile, back in the, what we would call normally the hand touching the cup, or whatever it's touching, there's a sensation. Well, what is that sensation made of? What is that sensation made of? Okay, that experience. What is it made of? Now you might be tempted to say, oh, well, it's made out of the flesh of my fingers and the nerve endings and all that. But that's a story. That's a mental story. Your actual experience, or it's made out of the clay that the cup is fired from. That's just, the experience is a form of awareness. We're aware of the cup. We're aware of this sensation, rather. We're aware of the sensation. And if we associate it, we go, oh, but then here's this picture in my head of a cup and a hand. Okay, look at that visual image. What is that visual image made out of? That's also made of awareness, right? So we have awareness. We could, the awareness, the awareness of the self, the boundless awareness of the self is like ocean. Then the awareness of the sensation, which we call hand-touching cup, is like we could say it's like a wave of that ocean. But it's made out of the same stuff. It's made out of awareness. And then the awareness of the visual image, the memory of the visual image of the thing. What's that made out of? It's also made out of awareness. It's like another wave of that same ocean of awareness, just rising in a different form. And you can open your eyes if they're still closed. Oh, now here's all this other stuff. Now here's the experience of a computer screen or a phone screen. What's that experience made out of? It's all made out of awareness. It's just awareness arising in these different flavors and these different modes. And the real question is, okay, there's this awareness, which is the I, which is the boundless I. There's this awareness, which is the, touching cup awareness. And now, don't look for an answer to the next question with your mind. Really pay attention to your experience of it. Between this awareness, this tactile awareness, and this self-awareness, how much distance is there? How much distance is there? That's right, there's no distance. There's zero distance. It's completely intimate. It's non-dual. It's not two. Okay? Now, between this eye awareness and the visual awareness of the computer, how much distance is there? Now you could say, oh, well, wait, there's about there's 1.5 feet between me and the screen, but that's answering the wrong question. The experience, the awareness, like if I hear, let's say that I hear a dog barking across the street. I say, oh, I'm experiencing the dog barking. There's 50 yards between me and that. But wait a minute. What am I experiencing? I'm hearing the sound of the dog barking. What is that sound made out of? Is it made out of fur and doggy teeth and doggy vocal cords? No. It's made out of, at best, it's made out of, airwaves, waves of alternately dense and rarefied airwaves hitting my eardrum. But even that's not my experience. I'm experiencing awareness of a sound. It's all awareness, just arising in these different forms. And how much distance is there between awareness and awareness? Zero. So that's intimacy, that's love. And I go into this at greater length and with greater clarity in the book, and kind of give it as an exercise if you're interested in looking into that. I think that's in Fear Less in the last book. So what do we discover then? I feel it in my fingers. I feel it in my toes, right? Everything you touch with any part of your body or with any of your senses, what is it that you're experiencing through your fingers and your toes and your eyes and your ears and your nose? Love is all around. That love, that non-distance, that non-two-ness, that non-separateness, aka the Great Spirit, aka the Tao, aka love, aka God. Love is all there is, right? Love is all around me. And so the feeling grows. Okay, so what grows, I mean, how can it grow when it's infinite? What grows is our awareness of that awareness. Right? We get it on the level of feeling. It's whispered on the wind. It's everywhere I go. So if you really love me, come on and let it show. That's the plea to God. That's the plea to the Spirit. I know you're there. I know this is the nature of life. It makes sense. It's the only thing that makes sense. It's what all the scriptures say. It's what all the sages say. But maybe I'm not experiencing it fully yet. Maybe it's not fully showing. Come on. If you really love me, come on and let it show. That's a prayer. That's a prayer. You know I love you, I always will. My mind's made up by the way that I feel. Okay, so my mind's made up by the way that I feel. This is skillful. This is wisdom for the mind to pay attention to the feelings. And then feelings can plug into the beingness, the non-two-ness. Because the mind is always going to, when we see things through the mind, it's always time and space and diversity and all that. So it's through the paying attention to the feelings that the mind, which is like what we're seeing in all this John Donne poetry. He's got this just way too clever lawyerly mind that could just turn anything into anything. He's smart enough to pay attention to his heart, to get pulled in there by his heart or by his testicles or whatever it takes to get him to focus on the relationship with the woman. And through that, then we start getting into this bigger picture here. In the last verse of the song, I see your face before me as I lay on my bed. I kind of get to thinking of all the things you said, right? So I thinking of all the things you said, all the promise, you made your promise to me and I made mine to you, right? So this is, again, thinking of all the scriptures. That's God making the promise. By the way, all these silly love songs that always seem so silly, all you have to do is understand they're all addressed to God. And then they make perfect sense. Then they're all literally true. And the really cool ones, this is the advanced course now. This may not make sense to you all, but the really deep songs are addressed to God by God. Okay? I got nothing else to say, guys. I'm going to leave it there. I'm all out. Thanks, guys. See you next Sunday. We'll do something else. I don't know what, but
Thank you.
it'll be fun. Thank you. Enjoy being.
I have a question. I have a
Yes.
question about something else.
Okay, you want to just stay
Did
on?
you get the
Okay, just
Okay.
stay behind for a minute. Tova.
Hi.
We'll talk.
Okay.
Okay, bye everyone else.
Well done, Dean.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
Bye.
Sub. So
Nice
great
to
to see your
see you.
smiling
Thank you.
face, Sub.
Thank you. Thank you.
And my son.